We are recording live.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by, guys. Our guest today is a certified life designer. She empowers her clients to blaze their own paths and design a life and space of their dreams. That sounds awesome to me. Guys, if you like what we're doing, please like, share, and subscribe. Our sponsor this week is Surfrider Foundation. But without any further ado, Gina Casbarro, nice to see you again. How are you doing today?
Great. So happy to be here with you guys. Good to see your faces again.
Yeah. This is awesome. This is fantastic because Gina, we chatted with you a couple weeks ago on your podcast, and now you're on our podcast. And then we actually did a nice journey together to Peru a few months ago too. So we spent we were there 3 weeks. I think we were there like 3 weeks. I was there 3 weeks, but yeah. It was absolutely incredible. But before we start, what we do, Dev, is we always do something called 2 truths and a lie, or multiple truths and a couple of lies. We never
it's starting to be like 5 or 4.
I know. There's so much really cool
lies. I don't know. Nige gets crazy.
There's so much really cool information on our guests that I like to throw in other little lines just to kind of bring more things to light. So okay, I'm going to start with the first one here. We're going to have to guess which is the lie out of this. Okay, so here we go. Number one. Okay, Gina is a published poet.
Yep, I believe it.
Okay. Number 2, I've lived in 3 different countries for a year or more.
Yeah. Believe it.
Number 4, I have eaten guinea pig in Peru.
Oh, yes. The classic.
Last one, I performed at TEDx Miami playing the Taiko drums. Is that right? Taiko drums?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was actually trying to trip her up to see if she could pronounce it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Didn't work so well. Okay, Dev, what are you thinking?
Oh man, that's like, I don't know.
Published poet, lived in 3 countries, guinea pig, TEDx Miami playing the Taiko drums.
Okay, I believe 3 countries. The poet, yeah. You've probably had some guinea pig, unless you're vegetarian or something, and we don't know.
Oh yeah,
interesting. But I feel like you're pretty I feel like you're a person who would try guinea pig if you were a meat eater. Let's go with performed TEDx Miami playing, but it wasn't the Taiko drum. It was some other instrument.
Is that the final guess?
Well, I'm gonna guess one. I'm gonna think. I'm gonna throw in. Oh man, the poet. I'm gonna throw in the poet because I'm not sure.
Locking it in. Are you locking?
Yeah, lock in the poet. You're the TEDx Taiko drums.
Okay, so now you want to know the truth?
Yep.
Sure.
I'm a published poet. I did perform at TEDx Miami playing Taiko drums.
Wow.
I have not lived in 3 different countries for a year or more. I have lived in 2.
Nice.
Yeah. And did you ever eat guinea pig while we were in Peru?
I did not eat guinea pig in Peru. It was raved about, but I haven't tried it yet. Maybe next trip.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, if our friend Jamie's listening to this, it's okay. Jamie, we were there last time with Jamie a couple of years ago, and we stopped on the side of the road because this was the best guinea pig stand in all of whatever. I don't know if we were in Lima. We were outside of Lima somewhere. And we got all these little, they were like little guys, right? And we had them, and we were kind of eating them in the van, and we're kind of gnawing. I'm like, yeah, okay. Tastes like chicken,
That is so funny because it literally just like it just
the same thing.
It tastes like chicken.
Yeah. You eat them when you're in Peru, Dev? You had
we did. Yeah. On the stick, on like this. Just like a little bit of it. I don't know, there's not that much meat on them. It's just like it just tastes like chicken, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
I know. Yeah.
But I didn't miss anything that mindful.
You're good.
I don't think so. I mean, I'd eat it, sure, but it's not something I would actually order off a menu, I don't think. But but then again, we do eat some. Yeah.
So should we go back and touch upon some of these?
Go back. Yeah. Okay, go back. Okay.
So how did you get playing the Taiko?
Is it Taiko? How do you pronounce it?
Yeah. Taiko. Yep. Taiko drums. They're the
really Japanese drum.
Big Japanese drum. Exactly. Oh, yeah. So I grew up playing drum set for many years, and then kind of got out of it for a little while as I was in college. And when I lived in Korea, which was the other country that I lived in, South Korea, I had wanted to get into traditional drumming there, but just never made it happen. So when I got back to the States, I was just inspired to get back into music. And I really have no idea. I don't think I'd ever even heard or seen a taiko drum. I must have been Googling something, but I found this team that was located really close to where my parents lived. So I went and tried it out and fell in love and played with them for the next few years and became one of their performing members and toured with them in different places in South Florida. So it was super, super fun. And we performed at TEDx Miami, and it was really, it's really special to me. And it's something that every time I go back to South Florida, I go back and play with them.
Really? Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Fushu Daiko. Shout out to Fushu Daiko. If anyone's in Florida, go see them.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's really powerful because we go to Japan a bunch because Reiko's my wife, Reiko, Japanese and whatnot. So we go back and visit the village, and in Tokyo and wherever, there'll be the guys playing that. It's just like it just gets into your your soul. It gets into your soul. It's just
it's very powerful.
Very, very powerful. Yeah. I mean, I got lots of stories, but I won't go into that. So how about the poet?
So poet, yeah. So I was trying to think of like a random like truths and a lie that might throw you off. But when I was young, I wrote tons of like super emo poetry as like a teenager. And again, I don't remember like how this happened, but somehow like somebody reached out to me. I don't know if I was putting poems on the internet or this was like many, many, many years ago. But somehow I got connected with this publisher who was like, we're making an anthology of poems. Like, can we put in one of your poems? And I was like, sure. So one of my poems is in this book. And now I have this book on the bookshelf at my parents' house. And one of my poems is in it that I wrote when I was like 12. So it's my only published work as of yet, but who knows, maybe sometime in the future, I'll write a book or something.
Oh, that's really,
awesome.
that's really cool. And so, I mean, when we met in Lima, right, in Peru, a few months ago, and then we did this tour together. But you are on, I still believe, on like at least a year-long walkabout, right? Traveling, and I think before, did you work at Lululemon? Was it Lululemon?
Yep, I worked at Lululemon for 8 years, and then my last day with them was just over a year ago. Actually, May 1st was my last day with Lululemon,
right? And
then I left for this trip July 11th. So I've almost been traveling a year, and the original intention was a year, and I don't know if right now the plan is not to stop after a year. So I may still be traveling, and there may be an international follow your sport tour after this. So
wow. That is, so how long have you been on the road now?
Over 9 months. I guess
9 months.
Coming up on 10 months.
Wow.
Yeah. What day is today? 10 months as of yesterday.
10 months as of yesterday. That's super cool. Yeah, I mean, that's what we did that as a family back in 2014, 2015. Yeah. We had Devin, you just graduated from high school, and Kina, your sister, was in grade 9, and we homeschooled her, and then Dylan, university. So he came and visited. So we took off for a year and kind of small one little bag each, and off we went, and all these different, I don't know how many, 17 countries, but we were just kind of taking it easy, and lots of Airbnbs, and we'd stay for 6 weeks. And at the beginning of our thing, we'd say 6 weeks. And then when we were running out of, like, the year was getting later and later in the year, we think we got to get more places in. So it'd be like 2 weeks in Colombia, and then Cuba and Brazil. Or actually, I think we were in Brazil for 6 weeks, but that was just the most incredible experience, I think, of my life. And, I'm sure Dev, I mean, you could talk to that too.
Sure.
Hey,
100%.
like, yeah.
Like we've talked about it on here before, a couple times, but it just changed my perspective of just like everything in such like a young mind, where you're just like going through all your changes, and you're trying to figure out who you are and what you're supposed to do. And I think I mentioned this before, but it's like, find out who you are before you find out what you're supposed to do. And you never really kind of figure out who you are, but like get a better understanding. Don't be like, oh, my father's an engineer, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to engineering school, and now I'm in university, and now oh God, what do I do? So it's just like, take time for yourself, and then going, and I know everybody's not as fortunate enough to go on a family trip with everyone, but just like like, you know, the little things
Yeah.
and just seeing, and maybe even just like helping out on the downtown east side and seeing the world from a different perspective, right?
And it's never too late. You know,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
35 now, and you can go on a trip, you know, at any point. And I think it's a lot about, you know, your choice of your lifestyle and what matters to you and what you want to create. And, you know, I've seen all different kinds of people, whether families, individual, at any kind of age. There's so many different ways to make travel happen if that's something
Yeah.
that is important to you.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was just looking up here. I apologize that for a second, and I can't believe I forgot her name. But we just released today Heather Markle's interview, which we interviewed her a week or two ago, and she's an interesting character as well, because she gave up her corporate job of 25 years. And just started traveling the world, and now she just travels, and she actually coaches people on, you know, how to set up your life and how to just, you know, go and travel. So it's such a huge component of, I guess, our lives, and it's always been such a huge component of my life since I was very young. I mean, right out of high school, I was really fortunate. My dad had a environmental mapping company, so he was mapping coastlines of countries all over the world. So I was, day after high school, all hungover, I was on a plane for Caracas, Venezuela, and I was living down there for 3 or 4 or 5 months, you know, hanging out of helicopters and whatnot, and taking photographs and diving and taking samples of reefs. But that was probably 18, I guess. And that just gave me the bug for the rest of my life, just to keep on exploring outside. I keep saying this all the time, outside of the Shire, you know, it's like the Bilbo Baggins or the Hobbit type thing. It's just so, it's just, it just opens up our lives. Yeah. And Gina, you have a podcast with Follow Your Spark. Is that what it's called? Follow Your Spark, which is really cool, because you're traveling, but you're interviewing people along the way, right? As you travel. Yeah. It should be the other way around. It should be people interviewing you as you travel.
But yeah, I've met so many interesting people, and of course, like people I never would have met. And I remember, you know, Jamie, who we traveled with to Peru, has said before, you know, 90% of it is like putting your body somewhere, and then the rest just happens. So that's kind of what it feels like as I'm traveling, that like 90% of it is me just showing up in Asheville, showing up in Detroit, showing up wherever, and trusting that I'm going to meet the people that I'm meant to meet, and the people who will spark my own transformation, and who will inspire, you know, other people to share their stories. And there's just been a lot of trust that I'm going to be guided to those people. And I can get a sense now almost immediately within like a 5-minute conversation with someone of, oh my gosh, I would love to have this person on the podcast. I know they have a story to tell. I know they have something to share. So it's been eye-opening for me in so many ways, and hopefully for the people who listen. So it's been, that's been one of the greatest, you know, gifts of the trip for sure, just to have this platform and this, you know, opportunity to be able to connect and share people's stories in that way.
Right. I love what you said, that you just show up, and that was a big kind of part of our big journey, was that people would say, well, so you know, you're going to go travel for a year. Well, how long are you going to plan it out for? Is it going to take you like 9-10 months to plan it out? I'm like, no, we're just going to go. and because I do have friends, and I do have friends that had done it before us, and I would go for coffee with them and pick their brain on what they did and all that. But there was a lot of planning in their stuff, but that's the way they wanted to do it, which is totally cool. Where we were opposite to that, we kind of got a couple of tickets and we just took off. And it was, you know, where do Devin and Kina, where do they want to go? Where do the, you know, where's a cool place, you know, to be, and everything when we landed got attracted to us. It was because we ended up in London at the beginning. So we wanted to ease our way in. We were in the south of France. We were in London for a while because I have family over there. And then Devin and Kina said, you know, so what do you guys want to do? So, well, we want to go to acting school. I'm like, acting school? Like, where did that come from? And well, we're in London. Best places in the world for acting is London or New York, probably. And so they go into like that, totally random. And then we ended up renting a flat in London from this couple, these two guys. And the flat was incredible. But the one guy was half Burmese from Myanmar. And he had just come back from Myanmar, retracing his family history. And he said, you guys got to go to Myanmar. I'm like, where? I don't even know where Myanmar is. And like, we're going to go to Cambodia and Laos and all that. But he said, no, you got to go to Myanmar. I'm like, okay. So he gave me a guy's number and your email him or whatever. We ended up going to Myanmar. His partner, Roberto, was Brazilian. And we were intending on going to Brazil, but he goes, oh, I've got a flat in Rio de Janeiro, right on the Copacabana, Ipanema, right there. You can rent it if you want. And we're like, what? So just dropping into London, meeting these people that got attracted, like they just came out of, and next thing you know, you're everything. So if we had planned our trip rigidly, we wouldn't have been able to do that. It's like, so I love what you're saying is like you show up and then things come into your life, right?
I kind of think of it as like casting out this huge, net. You're fishing, right? You just cast out this huge net, you pull it in and you see what shows up. And that's kind of right now, as I'm thinking about what's next, I'm in Asheville for the month. Then June, I'm not sure yet where I'm going to be. I might be in Tennessee. And ultimately I'm heading back to Baltimore come July. Right. But then next after that, my intention right now is to pick a Spanish speaking country, buy a one-way ticket, like don't come home until I can speak Spanish. That's the plan. And I'm kind of casting out this net right now of, I don't know what Spanish speaking country that's going to be, but I'm putting out these feelers and just seeing what starts to come back for me. I've got a friend who spends time in Colombia. She's Colombian and she's in Medellin. And sometimes, I might go visit her. There's different things I'm just kind of throwing out there and seeing what sticks and then letting that kind of guide me towards what's next. And I used to get much more nervous when that wasn't showing up immediately. Like I think when I talked to you, when we did this interview, I had no idea where I was going to go next. And I was getting a little anxious about it. And, of course I figured it out and I, things fell into place in different ways, but I'm becoming a lot more comfortable with it's going to show up whenever it's going to show up. And if the answer is not there right now, like that's okay. Just surrender, trust that it's coming, keep, casting out the net and see what comes back. And I might get nothing on the first couple tries, but I will eventually. So,
I mean, I love what you're doing too, is that because you're traveling, right? You're traveling. So you're not connected to, the daily grind, right? So you're a life, like a life designer coach and a feng shui consultant as well. But you're in the perfect, I think anyway, you're in the perfect mindset to be doing that type of work because you're not in, I don't know what you call it, like that day-to-day boom, boom, boom. But what you're doing is, I'm assuming, is that you're talking to people that are in that space. It's the life, it's that grind. It's like, okay, how do I structure things where you're on the outside of that, looking from 30,000 feet, being able to help these people with, what's really important.
It's definitely been an interesting experience of navigating and kind of finding a rhythm in terms of work and travel and everything else and getting situated from place to place. Like right now I'm in Asheville for a month and it's nice to just be in one place, not have to pack up my bags every week and kind of move to the next place. And it does give me an interesting just perspective on life, kind of the lifestyle that I live right now. And I think it definitely fills me because I'm constantly inspired by different people and different places. And it definitely fills me up, this kind of lifestyle of traveling and everything else. So it for sure gives me more energy in the work that I do.
Yeah. And to be able to share that with people while you're kind of on the road like that, it's really powerful. It's a really powerful place to be in. Because I know a lot of us, we get stuck in our, you're getting up at a certain time. We don't have time to work out in the morning. We just grab a piece of toast. Maybe we jump in our car. We do the commute back to the office, which is what people are starting to do now. People are going back to the office and, and it's just like, you get it programmed into your brain day after day after day. The thing is that year after year after year goes pretty quickly. Before you know it, you're 20. Next thing you know, you're 40 and you're driving there and you're checking in and out. Because I'm not saying it's easy, but it's easier than taking a jump like you did, leaving a Lululemon and going, I'm going to go travel for a year and I'm just going to see where the chips lay. And it's extremely powerful. And once you get, I found when we got into the flow of it, it's everything. Like that's what life is about. It's like it's getting out there and meeting people. And I mean, you work for, I guess, play a mortgage and, raise your kids. You want your kids to, everybody wants their kids to be well, but you can travel with your kids when they're, I mean, we were really fortunate. We're invited to go to Thailand when Dylan was 5, Dev was 3, and Kina was 3 months old and breastfeeding. And we went, and we thought there's no way we can do this. This is insane. But, we just sucked it up and did it. And it was an incredible experience,
Yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest, learning opportunities I've ever probably experienced. And I've learned so much about myself, and it's been, tons of time to just reflect and really hone in on what really matters. And I think
what really matters,
as I'm traveling,
exactly, yeah.
You're finding ways to create routine, ways to create habits and practices that are aligned with my values. So it's just given me a lot of time and space to really ask myself, like, what is that? What is really important to me at the end of the day? And I used to, at the beginning of this trip, I was thinking of this trip as this like closed container of a year. It has a start date, it has an end date. And now it's kind of morphed from, what do I want my lifestyle to be like? Because I don't know if and when traveling is going to end for me. I don't know if I'm going to purchase a house anytime soon or kind of put roots down anytime soon. So it's really been now expanding my mind of like, what's really important to me in a lifestyle? How do I create that no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm traveling, whether I'm not traveling? And also there's been a lot of questions just about identity this year. And I, just recorded a podcast episode about this recently of like letting go of that lululemon identity and, things I had achieved and milestones and everything else. And really, again, honing in on what truly matters to me, what drives me at the end of the day. How can I be grounded in, that essence that is me without all the external circumstances or validations or anything else, and be grounded in that wherever I go. So no matter whether I'm traveling or on the road, like I feel at home, I feel grounded, I feel good. So yeah, like I said, it's just been a really big learning experience.
Yeah. And you're able to, a lot of people, and you're young and you're mobile, and technology has really opened up the ability for all of us to do what you're doing, to travel and to have a podcast from anywhere in the world, and to coach anybody from anywhere in the world. And you could be, mobile, and you could be a month here, a month there. Really,
it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. The way we've all evolved back, we grow up in an area, we don't leave our little town. We save up to buy a little house in that town, put the white picket fence around it, have the kids go to, it's like, that's the way we've kind of evolved. But if we kind of crack that open a bit, is why do we really have to do that? We can go back to the old nomadic ways that we were, 10,000 years ago, where we were nomadic, and, why not? We can run our lives nomadically.
So many more people can work virtually. I think it's just asking yourself those questions again of, what kind of lifestyle do I want? Maybe somebody wants the grounded, and that's great. They want to be in one place. They want to build community there. They want to build a family there. Awesome. And I think the key is, are you asking yourself those questions? Are you asking yourself if that's what you want, or if you'd rather do something else, but it feels scary and outside of your comfort zone, so you don't, feel motivated or inspired or whatever, able to take that step or make that leap.
Exactly. I know that even now, like I just turned 60 last month, or in March anyway, and I started traveling again, which I haven't been able to do. We went to Peru, and then I actually just got back from trekking in Scotland with Reiko. We went for 3 weeks, and we did an incredible trek, and then we were in Wales and whatnot. But it's that I still got that anxiety. I'm 6 years old, and I've traveled all my life, and it's just like, oh, I got to get my passport together. I need to get to the airport, do all this, and you just get this. It's this weird anxiety I still get it, and I traveled so much, and I still get that little tingle. I still get that, but as soon as I'm on the road, it's like, wow, what the heck was I thinking? and,
And
just
I think that's
meeting.
natural. Anything that's
Yeah.
unfamiliar, or we don't know what to
Yeah.
expect, or we've never done it, it's just evolution. The brain is going to be like, wait, what are you doing? Like, is that safe? Whatever. As I'm thinking right now about potentially moving to Colombia or
Yes.
another Latin country, there's definitely those feelings, tingles, body sensations, whatever. It's just uncertainty. I don't know what that would be like.
Yeah,
Could I figure it out? Yeah, 100%. I could.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's natural to have
But
those feelings.
For a fact that, and I always say this, people say, oh, when you travel, what was your favorite place? And it's like, oh, it's really a hard thing to answer. They're all amazing, because I always say that the backdrop, if it's the Himalayas or the Andes or wherever it is, or the beautiful ocean, that's a backdrop to the people that you meet. It's all about the people that you meet along the way, and then the experiences you have with the people. And that's what, I know is going to always be the way. Hey, Dev, I mean, what's your experience, say we were in Brazil, right? And then all those, next thing I know, you guys are out hanging with all the Argentinians and all the Brazilians and the Chileans. And
well, for sure, you realize that you're kind of nervous, and then when you finally meet someone and they're traveling from Argentina, you realize you're all in the same boat. You're all doing the same thing. You're all kind of here for the same reason, to meet people and have an experience. So yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, it's good for me to hear, because obviously, I moved to Korea over 10 years ago now, and that was a whole other thing. Like, Asia was just completely different world than the United States. And it was definitely a lot of culture shock and adjusting and everything else. So this trip has been easier in some sense, that I'm still in the United States. A lot of things, I know what to expect. And now this idea of moving abroad again comes with a whole new set of, oh no, like, what do I do? How do I figure that out? What's that going to be like? So it's good to hear, you guys spent all this time in tons of other countries. It's still all worked out. Same thing that happens to me, I'm sure will happen there.
Well, it's interesting. Like, Dev, we were fortunate, or maybe not, that we never had one issue, the whole year. And we were in, Colombia, Brazil, and Cuba, and Argentina, and then Myanmar, and Thailand, and Bhutan, like all these places kind of off the beaten. Never had an issue with anybody trying to mug us or rob us. But if you watch the media, if you look at the US or the Canadian bulletin, you can go on to the foreign affairs or whatever, and you can look up like Peru. Before we went, I went to Peru with you, and I just kind of check on it. It says, don't travel to Peru right now, blah 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 blah. There's guerrillas that are operating here, chance of kidnapping is high, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. I'm like, you know what, this is a bunch of whatever. Not saying it's BS, but it's just like, it was absolutely completely safe. Lima is just a beautiful, the area in Peru, in Lima, where we were, it's absolutely stunning. Best restaurants, super friendly people everywhere we went, and not even an issue. But we watch our media and it scares the crap out of us not to.
And I think that's like, when you talk about that, it makes me think about life too. And even when you're thinking about, doing a new venture, whether it's starting a business or moving across the country or whatever, you could think of, oh my gosh, these are all the ways that this could go wrong. These are all the ways that I could fail, how my life could fall apart if I make this really scary leap or whatever it is. And, it could also go amazingly. And sure, those might be things that could happen in reality, but to not focus all of your time and attention and energy and focus on those things, but to, have some kind of plan and information about different ways that it can go. Be prepared, don't be like an ostrich, head in the sand. Be aware of the potential risks that you're taking, and program your mindset or focus on the things that could go amazing. And that's really, what I try to work on in my life and my business and travel and everything else. Like, be aware of, what you're doing and the risks that you're taking, and focus on all the ways it could go right. Really concentrate my energy and being able to visualize things working out for me, not the opposite. Because if I'm just worried about getting mugged like every second in the day, the energy I'm going to put out is a lot different than if I have that energy of, I trust people. people are good, people are honest, I'm going to meet good people, it's just a different energy.
Which is 99.99999% of all the cases, that people are good and they're genuine and they're nice. I mean, it's what was I gonna say? I can't remember. Anyway.
Doesn't mean don't be careful, don't be aware, just not all people are bad.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's I can't remember. Anyway, lost my train of thought. Dev, you got a question there?
Yeah, I do have a question. So, if you could go back to a younger version of yourself, hypothetically speaking, and give this young girl 3 points of wisdom that you've acquired over the years, what would you say?
3 points of wisdom I've acquired over the years. One thing, a big lesson that I learned, I feel like I'm still learning, in Peru and otherwise this year, to not be attached to, the outcome and the achievement. That when I was young, thinking about, I need to work really hard to reach this peak of this career, and I need to do all these other things to feel successful. Like, this is what it means to be successful. It means I've achieved this, this, and this. I can show you, I can prove it. And none of that can create the feeling I think I was ever looking for. And that's all internal. So to be much more concerned with who I'm being and, enjoying every moment, enjoying the journey, than ever thinking some external achievement is going to give me success or that feeling I was looking for.
Right.
So that's one. Let's see, what else would I tell my younger self? I mean, have fun. Life doesn't have to be so serious, and I think it goes along with just that enjoying the moment. Pursue your passions, pursue the things that make you happy. Not everything has to be productive. Like, I'm so happy that I pursued taiko and salsa dancing and all these things that really light me up at the end of the day. Like, that's what life is about. I feel like pursuing the things that bring you joy. And a third thing, oh my gosh, it's funny. The thing that just came to my mind, when I was young, my dad was the first person I ever met who did yoga. And when I was young, I was like, I'm never going to do yoga. Like, my dad would practice yoga in his boxers, like in the driveway. So I was not, I was not about yoga when I was young. And of course, as I grew up, I took a yoga class and became connected to it and everything else. And now so many things that I looked down on when I was young, I do yoga, meditation, mantra, all these things. So maybe I would tell my younger self, be more open-minded, be willing to experiment. I don't know what I'd tell her exactly, but just how important these mindfulness practices are. I've been doing transcendental meditation now for probably 2 years straight, through the pandemic, I really started, and it's just been so useful. And, I know you guys do Wim Hof and have these other practices that really fuel you. Yeah. So if I had developed these habits earlier in life, what could that have given me? I don't know. Something powerful, probably.
Wow.
I actually totally agree with you, because I didn't discover a lot of this stuff until a lot later. I mean, a lot later. And, even like you said, in the pandemic, just getting into this routine, like a morning routine. If I'd done that and practiced that when I was say if I was in my 20s or 30s, man, it would have really made a big difference in my life. Cause it's because you get up half an hour earlier, an hour earlier, not a big deal. And then just have that quiet space for yourself and some type of meditation, and then stretching, and then just being, just centering yourself for the day as opposed to getting up and grabbing your phone and going through everything on your way to the bathroom to brush your teeth, which is, the way I lived for years and years and years. But if you can just say, whoa, hang on a second, I'm going to have half an hour for myself in the morning. It's quiet. You just, do your yoga, you do your whatever you do. It makes such a huge difference. If I'd known that as a younger person and just come on, Nigel, just try it, it would have really changed everything. And then, with anxiety, because I wasn't doing it, I had this PTSD type of anxiety building up in my body. Then when I got older, it started popping out in weird formations. And then, Dev, I say, Dev helped me with with that, it got me into Wim Hof and doing the breathing, which has been huge. And then the cold, the cold plunging and all that too. It's been really, really good. But if I knew that stuff when I was like 25, 30 or 40, even, it would have helped so much. It would have helped so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, I've realized over the years how important these practices are. And now, with my coaching clients, like that's one of the foundational things I try to teach people. And I have these tools to strengthen your vibration because it's so important. Like again, it's kind of ties back to what I said at the first thing. Also, I used to be so much, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to achieve all the goals? And if I check everything off the list, then I'm going to be successful. That's like the ticket, the golden ticket. And it's just not the way it works. How I've realized, your energy plays such a huge role in that. Your habits, your practices play such a huge role in that. And it's something that whether it's in the Western world or the whole world, I don't know, but just that attachment to needing to go all the time and moving so fast and everyone feeling like I have no time. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to wake up an hour earlier and do these practices. Like it's a choice. It's a choice what we choose to spend our time on. And, and it's not like I'm perfect. I catch myself multitasking or doing these things. And it's an effort to always like slow down, do one thing at a time,
absolutely,
be here now. So it's a constant practice.
Yeah. And then also, like taking a break, and like we're talking about travel a lot here, and it's like, traveling for a year and whatnot. People are like, there's no way I could do that. I got 3 little kids, or I got whatever it is. I can't, which is totally fair. But taking those breaks, like taking a break, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a month, if you can ramp it up to a month. But, I observe a lot of stuff, and I observe, this whole, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take 10 days and I'm going to go to an all-inclusive in wherever. And I'm going to sit on the beach and I'm going to drink and, and then I'm going to come home. You're going to feel 10 times worse than when you left, and I'm not saying that I haven't done that, because I've done that. And, but just there's another way to think of things of travel and taking a break, is taking a break away for your mind. It could be, like you said, a meditation retreat. Okay. If you're not into that, it could be like we just did a walking, I got away and we you kind of push yourself a little bit. The breaks that you're able to kind of clear things out and regenerate yourself. And then you come back and then you're ready for the world, as opposed to coming back and just being destroyed and then wanting to go away again and just lay and sleep on the beach. I think it's just, I learned, years ago that, just to get away and just to be able to think and just ground yourself and just chill out, and is really important.
Yeah.
That
was one of the things too. When I first started traveling, every month I would kind of reflect on like, what's the biggest lesson I learned this month, and kind of keep track as I went. And one of those first lessons was the importance of making space for space. Just space,
that's right. I know,
where you have nothing planned and you have nothing that you have to do, and it's just space.
I know. My coach told me that, because I'm kind of ADD, and Devin I think is too. And it's just like I go somewhere, and like we were always heavily into rock climbing and mountaineering and all this stuff. And if I went somewhere, I'm going on a climbing trip, I'm going to go to this, I'm going to go, whatever it was. And then my coach said to me, says, Nigel, when you go away, doing nothing means doing nothing. And I'm like, no, I can't do nothing. He says, no, just go read a book, like sit. And I said, I can't.
Go to the park.
Just sit, watch cats play or whatever it is, watch the birds. And, it's really, really, really hard to do.
Yeah.
But it's really rejuvenating. And really, so he's right. I know he's right, but I always find it really hard to do that. Dev, you're like, you guys, the nice thing, Dev, like you guys are into the flow art. So what you do is like you're spinning, but also to me, when I watch you guys do that, it looks very meditative to me. Hey, and that's what.
No, it absolutely is. Yeah. Because like you have all these sets of like moves that you want to achieve and all these things that you want to do. And then they all translate into each other. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this move. And then I'm going to do this move and this move. No. It's like, oh, this goes there and this goes here and that goes there. And you just kind of do it. You find these moves in your core, you have like your core understanding of what you're supposed to do. But at the end of the day, the best performer, or like when I watch a really good performer, you know that they're not thinking about any of that stuff. They're just being present in the moment, and whatever comes after this comes after this. They're not thinking about the future, they're not thinking about the past. They're just cruising in the moment, and things just happen. Yeah, it absolutely is. It's like it is a form.
And
of
it's your I think you nailed it there. Both of you guys is like you get into the flow.
Yeah,
you get into the flow of whatever's happening into life. Like Gina, you know, she's landing in a place and she's just letting whatever come to her. You're kind of just in the flow, right? And then with you, you have flow arts. I mean, it's just, you're not thinking about every move you got to do. You're kind of letting it kind of evolve and flow. And I just find that in life and everything, if we push things, if we try too hard, it's almost like you get inertia against your, but if you get into that sweet spot in that flow, things just get attracted to you and things just start happening. And it's, you can't figure out why. You just let it go. You just let it flow. And it's an amazing place to be. And you know, and
this is what I was talking to Bianca about too. It's like having expectations for things, and it's like plan stuff so you know where you're gonna go, but like, because even when we went down to Burning Man, it was like these we met up with some friends and they're like, oh man, like how was your burn? Was it really good? And they're like, yeah, like, but I didn't get to see like the whale and I was like, well, I didn't know there was a whale, so I didn't miss out on that, but I saw a million other cool things. But since you didn't see that whale, now you're let down because you had like a high expectation. It's the same with, we were supposed to perform at this festival this weekend and it got canceled, and everyone's getting so prepared and everyone's so ready and they're mentally getting themselves in the zone, and I'm just like, if it happens, and when I was told that it's not happening, I was like, oh, okay. It's just not being super attached to things, and if things don't go your way, that's okay. That's a learning process. I know that's at least how I try to do it.
It makes me think of something too. Last week, I'm trying to figure out, where do I want to go in Asheville? Who am I going to meet? All these things. And I look at different places for inspiration. And I was reading this magazine that talked about this mural. I was like, oh, that mural sounds really cool. I'm going to go there. Like, maybe it sounded like the artist was like painting it that weekend. Maybe I'll meet them. So I show up there and I'm like, where is this mural? Like, am I here? Is this it? I didn't even know if it was the right place. And I thought that the people were going to be there. They weren't there. So I just walked into this art gallery and I asked this person about this mural, and they're like, oh, like, come outside, let me show you. And I get in this awesome conversation with this person who just moved from Peru 6 months ago, came to Asheville, this whole story. She hosts these 5-course meals, all traditional Peruvian food, next Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, like, they're who I was supposed to meet. It wasn't the artist of the mural. It was them. So, if I was so attached to the artist in the mural, I probably would have just said, okay, cool, never mind, bye, versus trusting that it's just a breadcrumb. And we don't know where that breadcrumb is going to take us. It may be to the destination that we thought. It may be that was just a breadcrumb to get us to the other place.
Right.
So there's no disappointment if it's not, like you said, if you're not super attached to, it being one way. There's a million different ways that they could go, and they could all be amazing. So why get disappointed if you don't see the whale when there's 10,000 other super cool things that you could see?
There's it's really cool when you're like you're traveling for an extended period of time, as opposed to you get 10 days or 2 weeks where you're going to go to Paris and you're going to go see the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, it's all bang, 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 bang. You got to knock these things off. You get a little bit more time. It's like, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to get up. This is what my wife and I, because we were traveling for like a year, these guys would be sleeping because they were teens, and we would go downstairs and we would find a coffee shop. We'd sit in Paris or wherever we were, and we're not going to go to the Eiffel Tower. We're not going to go to the Louvre. We're going to sit and we're going to have coffee. And we just sat. 3 hours goes by and we're just sitting and we meet people, you talk to people. Then the little old men would come and they would sit and they would have their coffees, and they meet every morning, and you'd watch them, and then one would leave, the other would leave, then they were gone. We're still there, and just being, being is, as opposed to that rush and gotta tick off the boxes. I went up the Eiffel Tower, I spat off the top, great. And I went to the Louvre, I saw the Mona Lisa, yeah, great. It's really cool to do, really, really cool to do, but it's not that pressure to go and do it. Just if you won't feel like doing it, then go do it. If not, go have coffee.
Yeah.
hang out, right?
It's the journey, not the destination.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
Said it
I know
so
we
true.
were in last week or 2 weeks ago, we were in Scotland and Wales, then we're in the Cotswolds in England. Reiko and I, we stayed in this little pub and we hiked across the top of this hill to this little town, which is an iconic British little town. Castle Combe, it was called Castle Combe. And we're told, you got to go to Castle Combe. It's the most iconic little town. So we hike over the mountain, go down the other side. We get to Castle Combe. And like, yeah, it's a really cool little town. And we walked through it in 28 seconds. And then we sat down and a coffee. You want a coffee? I got a coffee. So I go in and Rico got a flat white and I had a cappuccino, sit down outside in the sun. And this couple sits beside us with a little pug. We ended up talking to them for like 2 hours, and she was from New York, he was from somewhere in England, and they're talking about all their world travels, and we're just like, and so this little town again was the backdrop for the people we met, and it was just, it was incredible.
Exactly. You just got to put your body there and trust that something amazing will happen.
That's right. Yeah. So I guess what we'll maybe just wrap up a little bit on that. Hey, Dad, what do you think?
On that note, guys, we're going to wrap it up. If you want to know anything else about Gina, we'll put all that in the links of the description of the video. If you like what we're doing, please like, share, and subscribe. Check out Find Your Spark podcast. Of course, it's awesome. We were on it. Check out that episode. Check out all the episodes. And thank you so much for coming on today. It's so nice talking to you, hearing your words of wisdom, and you're such a ball of light and fun energy. And just thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, we could talk for hours. I've already got halfway through my coffee, so we got another 3 hours. Oh man. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Gina. This was great reconnecting yet again, and I'm sure we're gonna see you very, very soon as well.
Hopefully.